Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I show you the mistakes in my games, hoping that you don't make the same ones in yours. This is my fifth game of the 2015 US Open, and happily it's the first one that I didn't make a major blunder that should have cost me the game right then and there. So that's something. But that's not to say I played perfectly or anywhere near it, and I still had some really big mistakes. My opponent was Fred King. Fred has been going to congresses for longer than me and has always been stronger than me. I remember when I was a single-digit Q looking over towards his end of the room at the US Open thinking, someday I want to be over there. And so it was pretty cool that I got to play him at this year's Congress for the first time. On to the game. Okay, so White's just played this move, moving into my Moyo. And so it's my turn. To look at the board as a whole, I'm reasonably happy. I've got pretty good cash, and I've got thickness facing towards the center, and I have no weak groups. So with all that in mind, if you were black, where would you play? Take as much time as you want. Go ahead and pause. I had plenty of time. All right. I played here. I decided that I would try to work with this group over here in C and build a center-facing Moyo. And I thought this was quite big. I'll get into why it's not big in just a few minutes. First, I'll show you the continuation. So Fred Haned, and I decided to hurt his shape with this move, and he answered. I connected, and then he connected, and I was delighted to get this double Hane. Fred pushed, I extended, Fred pushed again, I extended, and then Fred played here, again threatening to move right into my Moyo. I took a forcing move before defending, and then Fred played here. And it was at this point that I looked at the board and said, okay, this is big, but maybe this isn't the biggest. And I changed direction. And I came over here, which threatened his A group. Okay, so I've already said that my move here wasn't the biggest. So what would have been bigger? What would have been a better move? Well, let's say I do play there and then White comes here. This move is almost certainly Sente. If I was to ignore it, and then White got to descend here, not only is it big territorially, but it says this sets this whole black group adrift without a base and no friends nearby to run to. It would be a very hard game from this point. Like I said, White's move here is almost certainly Sente. I'd have to answer. Then if White goes ahead and plays here, he secures at least 20 points in the corner, so it's very big. Okay, so then instead of this, can I find a bigger move? Well, sure, let's take away what I just showed you that he can do. And if I move out here, it's similar to what the other move was for him, in that if I can push through here, it's going to do a lot of damage to this group and even to his corner. So it's pretty Sente. So if he answers there and then I play here, you can see that I'm 7 points better off at least than I was in the scenario where he played there first. Also, I might have a follow-up move around here, which is also big, but immediately, if White doesn't answer and I get a move around A, you can see that what was thickness for White is potentially becoming a target if I can get a stone around A. So this approach, White's lost all of the 20 points that I showed you were in his corner, and I've gained 7. So at minimum, it's 27 points. But then I may gain more if I'm allowed to play around A, or if I'm allowed to play around B4. So it's bigger than that. And it's at least 30. If White answers, if White comes back and defends because he's worried about A, then I've been able to get that 30 points in Sente. So you can see it's just huge. This would have been a much better play. Even if you go back, it doesn't look that big, at least not to me. but it really is. What else would have been a good move? Well, my center is very reducible, as I showed. Even when he just let me have it, it wasn't all that big. And what about the left side? If white can get another move on the left side, it's going to be very hard for me to invade it. It's going to be very hard for me to make it small. So therefore, immediately jumping into the left side is bigger for me than trying to preserve the right side / center. This is a bigger move because white can perfect it, or nearly perfect it, with one more move. Here's another interesting possibility. Remember I told you this was basically Sente. What if black takes this and then I come over here, in effect trying to get the best of both worlds? So this is another very realistic possibility. It's going to be very hard for white to kill that single stone. Okay, let's go back just a few moves to the blunder. I already showed you a few bigger moves, but what was wrong with the thinking when I played this move? There's a couple of things. First of all, I thought I was making territory while attacking the white group I was leaning on, but I'm not attacking that group. That white group can live at a moment's notice anytime with A. So if you don't see it, go ahead and take a look at it for yourself. You'll find it. Second thing is there's a really big defect at B. And you need to know whenever you play this C pincer and then build the territory on the top side, that you're going to have a weakness on this side, and you can never count the right side as your territory when you play that pincer. And indeed, white got B and was able to honey underneath. And what could have been my points, or what I, in my mind, thought might be my points, were eradicated and potentially in Sente. And then third, and one of the more interesting concepts, is when you're looking at the size of a moyo, don't look just at the total size of the moyo, look at the incremental size of the moyo. And here's what I mean. How much bigger is the moyo going to be if I play an additional move versus what it already is? What I mean is, everything above the marked area is my cash, no matter what. White can't reduce it. If white jumps in, white's just going to die. So at a minimum, I'm going to get stones at the marked area. And those are all my points already. I don't need to play another stone to get them. Furthermore, this group over here is pretty safe and will probably take a few points along the way. And there's not much that white can do about it. So it doesn't need defending. So really, all I'm doing with this move is growing this center area right here. And as we play forward, you can see that I grew it. I'm growing the area around A, but what's that worth? 10 or 15 points. That's all. Now look at white's left. It's worth a lot. Another move there is worth a lot more than 10 or 15 points. Plus, these stones are useful. Now, if I invade over here, I might be running towards his stones, his strong wall. Whereas the stones that I played on the inside are effectively out of the game. All they're doing is taking territory. They're no longer affecting everything else. We call those inside stones. So the white stones that white got to play were outside stones. My stones were inside stones. And then the final interesting thing is that it was at this moment that I decided, this isn't so big, and I tanuki'd, which might be exactly the correct thing to do, but it would have been better to recognize 15 moves before. It could be said that both me and Fred were playing in the wrong direction for 15 moves, and would have been better off, both of us, tanukiing before. So there you go. A big area isn't always as big as it looks like, as you think it is when you look at it. Think incrementally. How much bigger is it with an extra move? I think that's what's to learn from this. And also that these sometimes small looking corner moves can be really big. Anyway, and my next game is my last U.S. Open game, and it was played against another young, upcoming fighter. So it was good fun. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.